Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn the second part of the lesson number 14, that is from 14.13, blood vessels. Blood vessels are a network of branched tubes that transport the blood in our body. There are three types of blood vessels. They are arteries, veins, and capillaries. Now, what are arteries? Arteries are thick and elastic vessels that carry the blood away from the heart to various organs of our body. And this in this diagram is represented by the red colored blood vessels. All the arteries carry oxygenated blood except the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Now, what are veins? Veins are very thin and non-elastic blood vessels. They transport blood to the heart from different organs. And they are here shown as the blue color blood vessels. All the veins that carry deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein, which carries oxygenated blood from the lung to the heart. Now, what are capillaries? So, capillaries are narrow tubes formed by the branching of the arteries as well as the veins. So, branching of artery makes arterioles, which will unite to form the venules, and these venules will join to form the main veins. And they are about just 8 μm in diameter. And so capillaries are formed of a single layer of endothelial cells. Now let us learn the differences between artery and veins. Arteries are the distributing vessels, whereas veins are the collecting vessels. Why? Because arteries will take the blood from the heart and they will divide into many branches, leading to different organs of our body, and they distribute the oxygenated blood. Whereas veins will collect the deoxygenated blood from different region of our body and brings it to the heart. And so arteries are distributing vessel and veins are collecting vessels. Artery will be pink in color and vein will be red in color in our body. Only in this diagram it is represented as red and blue. And arteries are found in deep locations. They cannot be seen or sensed from the surface of our body, whereas veins can be sensed from the surface of our body and they are superficial in location. You can see in this diagram the hands, you can see the veins. What you are able to see here are veins and not the arteries. And blood flow in the artery with a high pressure because they are pumped by the heart with that force, and so they flow with a high pressure, whereas blood in the veins will flow in low pressure because they just collect it from the organs, different regions, and so the pressure will be low here. The wall of the artery is thick, strong and elastic, as we have already learned, and wall of the vein is thin, weak and non-elastic. All the arteries except the pulmonary artery carry oxygenated blood. All the veins carry deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein. Here in the arteries there is no internal valves. So valves are nothing but door-like structures which will stop the flow of the blood. Here in the veins there are internal valves. They are present. This internal valves in the veins will prevent the backward flow of blood in the veins. Next we shall see the types of circulatory system. There are two types of circulatory systems seen in the animals. First one is open type, second is closed type. In open type, blood is pumped by the heart into the blood vessels that opens into spaces called sinuses. And these sinuses are nothing but the body cavities which are called as hemocoel. And here the capillary systems are absent. The arterioles and venules will be absent. Example for this: arthropods, mollusk and ascidian. In closed type, the blood flows in a complete circuit around the body through specific blood vessels. Here the blood flows from the arteries to the veins through small blood vessels called as capillaries. And this type of closed system of circulation is seen in vertebrates. So this is the diagram for open circulatory system and closed circulatory system. Here the capillaries are absent and here capillaries will be present. Next we shall pass on to the structure of human heart. Heart is a muscular pumping organ that pumps blood to different region of our body. Heart is situated between the lungs, slightly tilted towards the left and above the diaphragm in the thoracic cavity. This is the location of the heart. Between the lungs, slightly towards your left, above the diaphragm in the thoracic cavity. Our body can be classified into two: thoracic cavity and abdomen cavity. So heart is situated in the upper part, that is in the thoracic cavity. Heart is made up of special type of muscles which is called as cardiac muscles. This we have already learned. Heart is enclosed by a double-walled membrane which is called as pericardium. And in between this membrane, it contains a lubricating pericardial fluid. And this fluid helps to reduce the friction during heartbeat and it protects the heart from any mechanical injuries. Now this is the diagram of the heart, external view and internal view. So you can see the heart which is supplied, the heart muscles also supplied by the blood vessels. This is right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle, the bigger blood vessels that is called aorta, and this is the internal structure, the same thing what I have told. The structures you can see, and these are the blood vessels that takes the blood as well as brings the blood to the heart. Now let's learn the internal structure of human heart. Heart is four-chambered. The upper two chambers are called as atria, singular atrium. The right atrium, left atrium. And the lower two chambers are called as ventricles, the right and the left ventricles. The atria and the ventricles are separated by septum. And this septum between the auricles and the ventricles will prevent the mixing of oxygenated or pure and deoxygenated or impure blood. The right atrium receives the blood from the veins like superior vena cava, inferior vena cava and coronary sinus. Whereas the left atrium will receive the blood from the pulmonary veins. The ventricle form the lower part of the heart and the two ventricles are separated by interventricular septum. The left and the right ventricles have thick walls because the ventricle have to pump the blood with force away from the heart. From the right ventricle arises a thick, bigger vessel which is called as pulmonary trunk. This, after coming out of the ventricle, it will divide or bifurcates into two to form the right and the left pulmonary artery. This will carry the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for the oxygenation. From the left ventricle arises a bigger blood vessel which is called as aorta, and the oxygenated blood from the left ventricle will be pumped through this aorta, and from the aorta they will divide into many arteries to carry the blood to different parts of our body. The coronary artery that divides from the aorta supplies the blood to the heart. Now, let's learn about the valves. The valves in the heart are muscular flaps that regulate the flow of the blood in single direction and prevents the backflow of the blood. The heart contains three types of valves. They are right atrioventricular valve, which is located between the right auricle and the right ventricle. This valve has three triangular leaf-like flaps and therefore it is termed as tricuspid valve. The apices of these flaps are held in position by chordae tendineae. This arises from the muscular projection of the wall of the ventricle known as papillary muscles. On the left side, we have the bicuspid valve, which lies between the left auricle and left ventricle. Because it has two cups, it is termed as bicuspid. This is otherwise called as mitral valve. The third type of valve is called as semilunar valve. And the major artery, the pulmonary artery and the aorta that leave the heart have the semilunar valves. This prevents the backward flow of blood into the ventricle. They are the pulmonary and the aortic semilunar valves. So, see the location of the valves. On the left side, you are having the mitral valve or the bicuspid valve, and the right side you have the tricuspid valve. So see the opening of the valves which is enlarged. Now let us recall the structure of the heart and the blood vessels. The structure of the heart has four chambered, the right and the left atrium and the right and the left ventricle. So left side deal with the pure blood or oxygenated blood and right side deal with the impure blood. So right side receives the blood, the right atrium, from the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava and coronary sinus. So this will bring and pour the impure blood into the right atrium, and from the right atrium, right ventricle receives the blood through the tricuspid valve. From the right ventricle, the impure blood is pumped into the pulmonary artery. So this is the pulmonary artery, after which it leaves out of the heart. It will divide into two, the right and the left, and it will supply the blood to the right and the left lungs for purification or oxygenation. On the left side atrium receives the blood from the pulmonary vein. Two pairs of pulmonary vein will bring the pure blood from the lungs and pour it into the left atrium. From the left atrium, the left ventricle will receive the blood through the bicuspid valve or the mitral valve. From the left ventricle, the big blood vessel which is called aorta will take the blood. When the ventricle contracts, it pumps the blood into the aorta, and from aorta it will be supplying pure blood to each and every part of the body. Now let us learn the types of circulation. The blood circulates in our body as oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. There is no mixing up of these two. And so there are three types of circulation in our body. They are systemic circulation, pulmonary circulation and coronary circulation. The first one we shall see now. Systemic circulation. What happens in the systemic circulation? The blood is circulated, the oxygenated blood from the left ventricle is taken to each and every organ of our body through the aorta, and it is supplied to every region of our body, and from every region the deoxygenated blood is collected and it is taken back and poured into the right atrium. So this circulation, this one cycle of the blood is called as systemic circulation. So from the left ventricle, aorta will take the oxygenated blood to all the organs of the body. The next one is pulmonary circulation. In the pulmonary circulation, the path of the pulmonary circulation starts from the right ventricle. So right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood is taken by the pulmonary artery to both of the lungs after dividing into right and the left pulmonary artery, and they are taken to the lungs for oxygenation. Once the oxygenation is over, the pulmonary vein collects the oxygenated blood from the lungs and it is supplied to the heart through the left atrium. So this is what is called as pulmonary circulation. So from the right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood is taken through the pulmonary artery. It is taken to the pulmonary artery where it divides into right and left, and both the lungs are flushed with the deoxygenated blood for oxygenation. Once the blood gets oxygenated, the blood is collected by the pulmonary vein and it is taken back and poured into the left atrium. So this is what is called as pulmonary circulation. The next circulation is called as coronary circulation. The supply of the blood to the heart muscles is called as coronary circulation. So heart, for their pumping action, they need the energy as well as the oxygen supply, and this is done by the coronary circulation. The cardiac muscles receive the oxygenated blood from the coronary artery that will originate from the aorta that leaves the heart from the left ventricle. The deoxygenated blood from the cardiac muscles will be collected and it will be drained into the right atrium by the coronary sinuses, and this is what is called as coronary circulation. So next we shall pass on to the double circulation. So since the blood circulates twice through the heart in one complete cycle, it is called as double circulation. So how we can study the double circulation? When the body circulates the blood for 2 times through the heart in one complete cycle, it is said to be double circulation. So in double circulation, the oxygenated blood do not mix with the deoxygenated blood. In some animals, the oxygenated blood and the deoxygenated blood are mixed and pass through the heart only once, and this type of circulation is called as single circulation. Now let us see how it is double circulation. So in the systemic circulation, the blood from the left ventricle pass on to the organs of the body and it is collected as the deoxygenated blood into the right atrium, and from the right ventricle the deoxygenated blood passed on to this is one circulation, and from here it starts the second circulation, that is the pulmonary circulation. The deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle is carried to the lungs for oxygenation, and after oxygenation that oxygenated blood is collected from the lungs and poured into the left atrium. So this is the second circulation. So blood circulates twice through the heart in one complete cycle, and so it is said to be double circulation. Heartbeat. One complete contraction is called systole and one complete relaxation is called diastole of the atrium and ventricle of the heart constitute the heartbeat. That means atrium and ventricle, when it contracts for one time, it is called as systole, and when they relax, it is called as diastole. So both together only constitute to form one heartbeat. So heart normally beats 72 to 75 times per minute. So how do the heartbeat? How will the initiation and conduction of the heartbeat happens? The human heart is a myogenic in nature. What does it mean? That means the contraction is initiated by the muscles, heart muscles or the cardiac muscles. So it is called as myogenic. In certain organisms, this contraction of the heart is initiated by nerves. Then it is called as neurogenic. So here in the human heart, the contraction is initiated by a specialized portion of the heart muscle. that is present in the right atrial valve on top, which is called a sinoatrial node. This is situated on the wall of the right atrium near the opening of the superior vena cava. Superior vena cava opens into the right atrium. So near the opening, the SA node or the sinoatrial node is present. That will initiate the contraction of the heart, and this will be conducted by the other part of the heart to proceed with the heartbeat. The SA node is broader at the top and it is tapering below, and it is made up of thin fibers. This SA node is said to be called as pacemaker since it initiates a heartbeat, which will be stimulate the heart muscles to contract. The impulse from this sinoatrial will spread as a wave over the contraction on the right and the left atrial wall, pushing the blood through the atrioventricular valves into the ventricles. Then this wave of contraction from the SA node reaches the atrioventricular node, AV node. This is the AV node. This is SA node and this is AV node. So the contraction waves will be passed on from SA node to AV node, and this reaches the atrioventricular wall. Then from there the impulse of contraction spread to the ventricular muscles. The wave of contraction from the SA node reaches the AV node, which is stimulated to emit an impulse of contraction spreading to the ventricular muscles via atrioventricular bundle and bundle of His. So atrioventricular bundle or bundle of His and Purkinje fiber are present on the walls of the ventricles. Next we have pulse. So what is pulse? When the heart beats, blood is forced into these arteries, and this is sensed as pulse. The expansion of the artery every time the blood is forced into it, it is called as pulse. It can be felt by placing the fingertip on the artery near the wrist. The normal pulse rate ranges from 70 to 90 per minute. The number of heartbeat is different from the pulse. Pulse is the expansion of the artery that is sensed in the wrist region, whereas heartbeat is the number of lub-dub or systole and diastole per minute. What is cardiac cycle? The sequence of events occurring from the beginning to the completion of one heartbeat is called cardiac cycle. So during this cardiac cycle, blood flows through the chambers of the heart in a specific direction, that is, from the draining blood vessels into the auricle, from the auricle to the ventricles, and from the ventricles to the blood vessels that takes the blood from the heart. And each cardiac cycle lasts just for about 0.8 seconds. That's why we are having 72 beats per minute. So now let us see the events during the single cardiac cycle. The first event is atrial systole, or the auricle will contract, which just lasts for 0.1 sec. When the atrium is filled with the blood, then it starts contracting, that is initiated by the pacemaker. When it contracts, this will be followed by the ventricular contraction, that is ventricular systole, that lasts for 0.3 seconds. This will be followed by ventricular diastole, or relaxation of the ventricles, which is for about 0.4 seconds. Now, heart sound. So heart sound, how does this happen? So whenever we close a door or a window with force, we get a sound. The same thing happens in our heart also. The valves which are present in the heart, when it closes, it gives a sound, and it gives the heart sound, which is also rhythmic. This rhythmic closure and opening of the heart valve causes the sound of the heart. The first sound is called lap, which is of longer duration, and it is produced by the closure of the tricuspid and bicuspid valves after the beginning of the ventricular systole. So when the blood is filled into the ventricle, when the auricle pours the blood into the ventricle, and when it is filled, the ventricles start contracting, which will be followed by the closure of the tricuspid and the bicuspid valve, which are present at the right and the left side of the heart. So this is followed by the dub sound. When the ventricle contracts completely, it pushes the blood into the pulmonary artery and aorta. So when this happens, the semilunar valve will close at the end of the ventricular systole, giving the second sound, that is dub. Next, blood pressure. Blood pressure is nothing but the force exerted during the flow of blood against the lateral walls of the artery, and this is measured as systolic pressure and diastolic pressure. Now let us see what is systolic pressure. During ventricular systole, that means when the ventricle contracts, the left ventricle contracts, and the blood is forced into the aorta, and this blood, when it reaches the artery in your hand left side, the pressure will be at the peak, which is referred as systolic pressure. This is measured as systolic pressure by the sphygmomanometer. Next we have the diastolic pressure. During a diastole, ventricle will relax. The pressure falls to the lowest, which is referred to as diastolic pressure. So in an healthy adult individual, the normal resting condition, the systolic and diastolic pressure is expressed as 120 mm by 80 mm Hg. The blood pressure varies during the conditions of physical exercise, anxiety, emotion, stress and sleep. So they will vary. The prolonged and constant elevation of blood pressure is called as hypertension. So high BP can increase the risk of heart attack and stroke. So decrease in blood pressure is termed as hypotension, that is low BP or low blood pressure. The pressure can be measured using stethoscope. A stethoscope is used to detect the sound produced by the internal organs of the body. The sound of the heart is heard by placing the stethoscope on the chest, and it is a useful diagnostic tool to identify and localize the health problem and diagnose the disease. The modern electronic stethoscope are high precision instrument through which a doctor can measure the beat or the sound of the heart and different organs of the body very accurately. Sphygmomanometer is a clinical instrument used to measure blood pressure when the person is in a relaxing condition. The pressure of the brachial artery is measured. It is helping to estimate the state of the blood circulation as well as the working of the heart. It also helps to diagnose the conditions such as increased or decreased blood pressure. Blood groups. The concept of blood group was first developed by Karl Landsteiner in 1900. He first identified the blood groups A, B and O group. AB blood group was recognized by DeCastello-Steiney in 1902. The human blood contains certain specific substances called as agglutinogens, This is otherwise called as antigens or Ag. The human blood contains certain specific substances called agglutinogens or antigens and agglutinins or antibodies. So these antigens which are found on the membrane surface of the RBC membrane surface, antigens are present and antibodies will be present in the blood plasma. We have already learned about the blood constituent. So blood contains RBC or the formed cells, RBC, WBC and thrombocytes, and also plasma. So plasma will contain the antibody and RBC membrane surface antigens are fixed. So based on the presence and absence of this antigen and antibody, the human blood groups are classified into 4 groups like A, B, AB and O. Now let us see the table and the relationship between the blood types and the antibodies. So the blood type is named because of the presence, according to the presence of the antigens on the red blood cells. If A antigen is present, the blood is termed as belong to the A group. If B antigen is present, B group. A and B, both the antigens are present, AB group, and if there is no antigen, then it is considered as O group. Now these people can donate blood to these group people. So A can donate to A blood group people as well as AB. B can donate to B group and AB group. AB blood group can donate only to AB blood group people, and O group can donate to everybody, all the others like A group people, B group people, AB or O. So what is the antibody which is present in the serum? So A group people will have the antibody B in their blood plasma, and B group will have antibody A in their plasma, and A group will not have any antibody in their blood, and O group will have anti-A as well as anti-B antibody in their blood. How can a person donate blood? Blood donation. In the blood transfusion, one must consider the antigen and the antibody compatibility or the matching between the donor and the person who is receiving the blood, who is considered as recipient. When an individual receives a mismatched blood group from the donor, agglutination or clumping of blood occurs in the body which leads to death. And so we have to be very careful during blood transfusion what type of blood, which group blood we are transfusing into a person who is having a particular blood group. A person with AB blood group is called as universal recipient, as they can receive blood from person with any blood group, whereas the person with O group is called as universal donor. They can donate blood from any person with any blood group. Now RH factor. The RH factor is like antigen A and antigen B, which was discovered by Landsteiner and Wiener in 1940 in rhesus monkey. It was first found in monkey. Then it was found to be seen in human beings. The surface of the RBC contained the antigen for RH factor. So when this RH factor is present in their RBC, they are said to be RH positive. When the RH antigen is not seen on the surface, then they are said to be RH negative. So in the person, when the mother and the father, both of them are RH positive, when the childbirth there will not be any problem, whereas because the child also will be positive. At the same time, when both mother and father, both of them are negative, the child also will be negative, and so there is no problem. So when mother is going to be positive and father is going to be negative, then the child can be positive or negative. So here also at the time of birth there is no problem. But when mother is going to be negative and father is positive, the child may be positive or negative. So at the time of parturition or delivery, there will be mixing up of the child's blood with the mother's blood and leads to complication. To avoid this, RH immune globulin injection is given to the mother before the delivery to avoid any complications. Next we shall learn lymphatic system. Like circulatory system, we are having another circulating system in which lymph circulates in our body, which is called as lymphatic system. And this comprises of lymphatic capillaries, lymphatic vessels, lymph nodes and lymphatic ducts. We have already come across the term lymphocyte. So lymphocytes are dealing with defense mechanism of our body. They are one of the WBC. The lymph is a fluid that flows through the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic capillaries will unite to form the large lymphatic vessels, and they are also in between having lymph nodes, which are small oval or pear-shaped structure located along the length of the lymphatic vessels. So what is lymph? Lymph from the intercellular spaces drains into the lymphatic capillaries. The fluid between the intercellular spaces will drain into the lymphatic capillaries, and this lymph is colorless fluid which consists of plasma, protein and blood cells that escape through the intercellular spaces of the tissues through the pores that are present in the walls of the capillaries. So this is similar to the blood plasma but is colorless and also contains less protein than plasma. So lymph contains a very small amount of nutrients, oxygen, carbon dioxide, water and WBC. Now what are the functions of lymph? So lymph supplies nutrition and oxygen to those parts where blood cannot reach. It drains away the excessive tissue fluid and the metabolites. The metabolites are the resulting product of metabolism, anabolism and catabolism, and returns the proteins to the blood from the tissue spaces. Lymph also carries absorbed fat from the small intestine to the blood. The lymphatic capillaries of the intestinal villi, which are called as lacteals, they will absorb the digested fat from the food in the intestine. The lymphocytes in the lymph defend the body from the infection that we have already seen. Now, let us see more to know. Number of chambers in the fish is 2. Number of heart chambers in amphibians it is 3. And in reptiles there is incomplete 4-chambered heart, and 4-chambered heart is present in apes, mammals, crocodiles, etc. Neurogenic heartbeat is initiated by nerve impulse caused from a nerve ganglion situated near the heart. Example, annelids and arthropods. Whereas in human beings, vertebrates and mollusks, the heart is myogenic, that is, heartbeat is initiated by a special group of modified heart muscles.